3 years ago, my twin sister Chidera vanished. We were 22, identical in everything except temperament. She was the bold one, the life of every gathering. I was Adaura, the cautious sister who always looked before leaping. That Saturday night in December, we went to a birthday party at the new event center in Victoria Island. Music pulsed through the walls, bodies swayed under colored lights, and Chidera dragged me onto the dance floor despite my protests. Live a little, Ada, she shouted over the music, her smile infectious. Around 11, she leaned close. Going to the restroom. Don't let any guy steal my drink. I watched her weave through the crowd, her gold sequin dress catching the light. That was the last time I saw my sister alive. 15 minutes passed, then 30. I checked the restroom empty, asked the attendant she hadn't seen anyone matching Chidera's description. Panic clawed at my throat as I searched every corner of the venue. By midnight, I'd called the police. The investigation was a nightmare. Officers suggested she'd run off with a man. Friends whispered about drugs or voluntary disappearance. But I knew my sister. She wouldn't leave without telling me. We shared everything, dreams, secrets, even our DNA. The event center's cameras had malfunctioned that night. Convenient, the detective said, but not uncommon. No witnesses, no leads. Chidera had simply walked into that restroom and ceased to exist. Weeks became months. My parents aged overnight, grief carving lines into their faces. I quit my job to focus on the search, plastering her picture across social media, hiring private investigators we couldn't afford. Every lead turned cold, every hope crumbled. A year into the investigation, I met Detective Emeka Nnadi. He wasn't assigned to Chidera's case, he worked in the cybercrime unit. We met by accident at the police station when I was filing yet another follow-up report. I'd been crying in the hallway, exhausted and hopeless, when he offered me a handkerchief. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Whatever you're going through. Something in his eyes, genuine compassion without pity, made me tell him everything. He listened without interrupting, without offering empty platitudes. Let me look into it, he said, unofficially. I should have said no. He had his own cases, but I was drowning, and he was offering a lifeline. Emeka became a constant presence. He reviewed files during his lunch breaks, made calls to old contacts, approached the case with fresh eyes. More than that, he understood my grief. His younger brother had died in a hit and run 5 years prior. The driver never found. The not knowing is the worst part. He told me one evening, as we pored over witness statements in his small apartment, you can't mourn properly because part of you keeps waiting for them to walk through the door. I looked at him really, looked and saw my own pain reflected back. We both carried ghosts. Love grew quietly between case files and late night conversations. It felt wrong at first, finding happiness while Chidera was still missing. But Emeka taught me that living wasn't betraying her memory. 2 years after her disappearance, he proposed in the same park where we'd scattered flyers with her picture. She'd want you to be happy, he whispered. He was right. Chidera always pushed me toward joy. We married last month in a small ceremony. Her empty chair sat beside mine, flowers draped across it. The investigation remains open. Some nights I still wake up searching for her face in the darkness. But Emeka holds me through the grief, and somehow we've built something beautiful from tragedy's ruins.
The truth came on what should have been the happiest day of my life. Our wedding was 2 weeks old, and I was finally sleeping through the night without nightmares of Chidera. Emeka had gone to work early, kissing my forehead before dawn. I decided to surprise him by organizing his home office, which had become cluttered with old case files. That's when I found the box. It was tucked behind his filing cabinet, unmarked and sealed with duct tape. Something made me open it, maybe intuition, maybe fate's cruel hand. Inside was a gold sequined dress. My hands went numb. I knew that dress. I'd helped Chidera pick it out the week before the party. There was the small tear near the hem where she'd caught it on a car door. Beneath the dress A phone. Chidera's phone, in its distinctive purple case with our photo together as the lock screen. And underneath that, a journal, Emeka's handwriting, the 15th of December 2021. I've made a terrible mistake. God forgive me. I've made a terrible mistake. My vision blurred as I read, each word a knife twisting deeper. Emeka had been at that party 3 years ago, off duty, meeting an informant about a cybercrime case. He'd seen Chidera at the bar, thought she was beautiful, offered to buy her a drink. She'd accepted, flirted back. He hadn't known she was drunk, he wrote, hadn't realized how impaired she was. When she went to the restroom, he'd followed, thinking she'd wanted him too. In the dim hallway, he'd cornered her, tried to kiss her. She'd pushed him away, stumbled backward, and she hit her head on the sink. The sound still haunts me. She dropped so fast. There was blood, so much blood. I checked for a pulse, nothing. I panicked. I'd killed her. My career, my life, everything would be over. He'd wrapped her in his jacket, carried her out through the service exit. During a power surge he'd later claimed was a malfunction, disposed of her body in a construction site that was paved over the next day, cleaned the restroom, deleted the camera footage remotely using his cybercrime access. The perfect crime. Months later, I saw her twin at the station, Adaora. Identical face, but different eyes, softer, sadder. When she told me about her missing sister, I felt my soul shatter. The woman I'd killed had a family who loved her, a sister who was destroying herself searching. I told myself I'd help with the investigation to ease my guilt. But then I fell in love with her. Real love, not the drunken attraction that led to that terrible night. Adora is everything good I don't deserve. And I'm trapped. If I tell the truth, I lose her. If I stay silent, I'm lying to the woman I love every single day. I don't know which is worse, that I killed Chidera or that I'm selfish enough to marry her sister anyway. The journal slipped from my hands. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The man I'd married, the man I'd built a future with, had killed my sister and let me suffer for 3 years. Every kind gesture, every late night conversation, every I love you, all of it poisoned by lies. The front door opened. Ada, I'm home. Forgot my. Emeka stopped in the doorway of his office. His eyes fell on the open box, the dress, the journal in my lap. All color drained from his face. Ada, he whispered. Please, let me explain. I stood slowly, my body moving on autopilot. Explain? You killed my sister. It was an accident. I swear I never meant. You hid her body. My voice rose to a scream. You let my parents suffer. You let me search for her, hope for her, while you knew exactly where she was. And then, my voice broke. Then you pretended to love me? I do love you. Tears streamed down his face. That's the truth, Ada. I love you more than anything. It started as guilt, yes, but it became real. You have to believe me. You don't get to cry. I grabbed the nearest object, a picture frame of us on our wedding day, and hurled it at him. It shattered against the wall. You don't get to play victim. You took everything from me. He didn't move, just stood there accepting my rage. I know. I know what I am. Every day with you has been heaven and hell. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I was a coward. Where is she? My voice turned cold. Where's my sister's body? His face crumpled. The construction site is now a shopping complex. Fifth Avenue Mall. The foundation. She's in the foundation. My sister's grave was underneath a building where people shopped, laughed, lived their lives, not knowing they walked over her remains. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. What are you doing? Emeka asked, though he must have known. Calling the police. You're going to confess everything. He nodded slowly, resignation in his eyes. I know. I deserve whatever comes, but Ada. He took a step forward, and I flinched. He stopped. I need you to know loving you was the only real thing in my life. I'm sorry. I'm so, so sorry. Sorry doesn't bring her back, I whispered, pressing dial. As I reported my own husband for my sister's murder, I realized the cruelest part. Some small, broken piece of me still loved him, and I hated myself for it. The man I loved and the monster who killed my sister wore the same face, and now I'd lost them both.